Okay, we have the creation of the world, birth of Adam and Eve. That's year 1 in our Jewish calendar. If we want to know when is going to be the year 6000, when we start the redemptive era, that'll be the end of 2239, beginning of 2240. That'll be the year 6000. If we go in history and we skip a little bit until 1948, we'll see Abraham is born. In 1948, the state of Israel is also born. So we can see there's a parallel calendar going on through stuff before 1948 as well. Okay. What's going on today? Let's say 2023, Abraham settled in Canaan. That was just the year before, you know. The next big event we can look forward to in 2034, Yishmael is born to Abraham. And then in 2048, we have 3 big events here. We have Abraham circumcises himself and Yishmael, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the birth of Isaac to Abraham, which I believe will represent the big next era in the state of Israel, where it's transformed through Isaac. At that point, Abraham is 100 years old. He was born in 1948. In 2048, he's 100 years old. We have the binding of Isaac in 2084, and at the same year, the death of Sarah. Yaakov and Esav are born in 2108, which I again think will be a big transformation for the state of Israel. Okay, so you have when are we holding again with the year 6000? It'll be in 2239, right? 2239. If we go to 2239, we see the year before is when Jacob and his family went down to Egypt. What happens next is the redemption era. So in 2255, which is going to be what? How many years after the year 6000? From 39, we have 49, we have 15 years. So 15 years into this 6000 cycle, we have the death of Jacob. Okay? When is Moses born? 2368. How many years after 6000 is that? It's like 130 years almost, you know? But this is where we're holding in history, okay? This is where we're holding. The state of Israel represents Abraham. Now, let's look at Abraham for a minute. We're going to look at 2 sources here, okay? I have Sha'ar HaGilgulim, the incarnations, the gate of incarnations. That's 38179, okay? We're going to look at that in the English. And first, we're going to see the Sha'ar HaPsukim, the gate of the verses in the book of Job. We're going to see these 2 resources in English, translated by ChatGPT. Okay, so first we have here from Sha'ar HaPsukim on the book of Job. A man was in the land of Uz, his name was Job, etc. I've already informed you in the gate of reincarnations that holy souls were handed over to the Klipos, impurities or evil forces, due to the sin of Adam Harishon, the first man. Similarly, whenever any person from Israel sins, according to the severity of their sin, they cause damage. Now, when the Klipos see a soul that is extremely precious, they want to defile it completely so it cannot be corrected, and will always remain in their domain. Therefore, they bring it into the seed of some wicked person. This explains the idea of a righteous son of a wicked person, as it is written, "Who can bring the pure from the impure?" And that's from Job 14:4. Hence, there is no need to wonder about Abraham being born from Terach. However, when the good of this soul prevails, not only is it corrected, but it also corrects those closest to it. This is what the sages meant by the verse, "And you will come to your fathers in peace," meaning that Terach Abraham's father, would return to repentance. Therefore, it was necessary for Abraham's soul to later reincarnate as Job, as we will explain. The matter is as follows. When Terach married his wife, Amathlai, she was a menstruant, Nida. When the Klippai saw such defilement, they put the soul of Abraham into that seed in order to destroy it. They allowed it to leave from them willingly, thinking that it would perish there, since both his father and mother were idol worshippers, sinners, and led others astray by selling idols for idolatry. Additionally, this was the case specifically because the union itself was during her menstruation, as mentioned. This is the reason Abraham is called Ger Tzedek, righteous convert, because initially he was within the Klippos. Do not be troubled by this, for all the unions of Gentiles are during menstruation, since they do not immerse in a mikvah for purification. And what is the purpose of such a union? The explanation is that even though they do not immerse during the period of menstruation itself, they abstain from their wives. This union therefore occurred during her menstruation, as it seems to me. This secret is hinted at in the Zohar in the portion of Kedoshim, where it is written that Terach was named so because he angered God, and through him Abraham's soul was placed in that drop of seed. The reason for this is that when Terach angered God by worshipping idols, this was the cause for God's action of bringing Abraham's soul into that very drop to prevent the Klippos from accusing him. Thus, when the Klippos defiled that drop, it became a way of God to mislead the external forces, taking Abraham's soul out of their domain and placing it within that drop, so that the external forces would not accuse him like wine that is spoiled by that tainted drop. Now we move on to Shar HaGilgulim. And know that whenever a soul is very great, it is impossible to extract it from the Klippos forces of impurity, except through trickery and strategy. This is what happened to me. Since the external forces thought that I was already lost among them, heaven forbid, they did not worry about me, and the Holy One, blessed be He, took me out from among them under the protective image of the great Maggid Mishnah. They thought this was actually for their benefit, but I turned against them as an enemy. Similarly, you will see that many great souls come into the children of the ignorant and sometimes into the children of the wicked, such as Abraham from Terach. But that alone was not enough, as our sages said, and as mentioned in the Zohar, Terach angered his master, Artech Limare, as he was intimate with his wife while she was a Nida, in a state of menstrual impurity. This is when our forefather Abraham emerged. Through this, God deceived the external forces and drew Abraham's soul into that drop of seed, while the Klippos did not realize that this was his rectification. This is why Terach was later reincarnated as Job and was afflicted with boils, since one who has relations with Anida is struck with tsaras, a biblical skin affliction. For the same reason, Abraham was cast into the fiery furnace to purify him, so understand this well. Likewise, King David did not emerge from the Klippos except through that event mentioned by our sages regarding the verse in Psalms 51:7. Behold, I was shaped in iniquity. His father Yishai mistakenly believed that he was with his concubine, but it was actually his own wife. And his wife saw a drop of blood at the end of their union, which is why David said, "And in sin did my mother conceive me." If not for this, the external forces would not have allowed him to be born. This is also the reason behind Tamar, Ruth, Rahab, the harlot, and all the souls of converts, as well as all the kings of the house of David and the Mashiach who descend from Ruth the Moabite and the union of Judah and Tamar. Similarly, Rabbi Akiba, the son of converts, was a descendant of Sisera. This is the trickery and strategy that God uses against the Klippa, deceiving it in order to extract captive souls from within it. Understand this well. So this, my friends, now we understand why the creator of the universe, Hashem, the Yodhe and Vavhe, created the state of Israel from such a state of secular people who use Zionism to usurp Judaism, and they're coming from a place of complete filth and secularism and idolatry. And now you can see how just as God tricked Satan, then he tricked Satan again. And we can look forward to a beautiful present and future and past as well. Thank you so much. Good Shabbos. I don't know how to end this.